And welcome to the Crypto Show, a digital cash evolution. Why an evolution? Because we don't want to revolve, we want to evolve. So, Danny, our host here, I'm going to kind of take over from
I'm on.
Here. Oh, hey, Danny.
I'm on the line.
Go ahead. I was covering, kind of doing the intro. So, go ahead, Danny.
You were doing a great job, man. We talk a lot about decentralized, and today the show is decentralized because I'm coming to you from PorcFest in New Hampshire. I believe it's Lancaster, New Hampshire that I'm at. And this is a whole festival about freedom and cryptocurrencies and all types of good stuff like that. And what we're trying to bring to you is the basic knowledge on how to get involved with cryptocurrencies without getting ripped off or taken advantage of. And Doug is he's probably the best source in Phoenix for you to do that. He's got 7 ATMs in the Arizona area. I think the majority of them are there in Phoenix. We'll hear more about that from Doug. But Doug also has training classes, and we have meetups. You can come out tonight after the show, and if Doug doesn't make it there, I'm sure the proprietor of Classic Crust Pizza will be there to walk you through if you want to get a wallet set up. What more can you add about that, Doug?
We try to get there after the show here every Wednesday. I'm going to try to make it out there. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to, but like Danny said, if you're able to get out, the great thing about Classic Crust Pizza over there is that there's always crypto people there. Most nights I'm there. The owner, Alex, is a longtime Bitcoiner, and so you go in there, you can get questions answered. It's just a great central location. It's at Cave Creek and Cactus Road. It's a great place to go and just kind of learn in kind of an informal environment. And like Danny said, sometimes a formal environment. We'll do classes there occasionally.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of the other resources around town that you know about as well?
The meetups are the great place. If you go to meetup.com or the Meetup app for your smartphone, there are several meetups and different hosted gatherings for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, some more specific topics like blockchain and altcoins and, all different topics all around the valley. So I love that Phoenix is kind of a great hotbed for crypto.
And if you're out there riding around in your car, stuck in 4 o'clock traffic right now, definitely take the time to go ahead and call in to KFNX at 602-277-KFNX and give some questions. I mean,
and we're also streaming live. We're also streaming live on Facebook.
Questions.
So go ahead and pull us up. My Facebook page, Phoenix Crypto. If you don't want to call in, but you want to post some questions, we can address here on air too.
Yeah, and we also have a guest. I have another guest with me. We had hoped to actually do this on Skype for a clearer connection, but my guest is Joel Valenzuela, and he lives completely off of cryptocurrencies. He's got some great insights on different things about cryptocurrencies. Let's just go ahead and turn it over to Joel for a minute and find out what he feels about cryptocurrencies. What is the best thing about cryptocurrencies? Why do you use them? What are the necessity for them?
Yeah, so I've been living off of cryptocurrency for about on and off in a limited capacity at least since 2013, and fully since 2015. Early 2016, I closed my bank account, and it's we're really in the new stages still of this, but all I can say is all the financial frictions I've ever experienced in life, whether it be, the bank's closed, I can't make a deposit right now, or they missed up something, or a check ended up having check fraud, or for example, especially for example, online ordering, having to do with long forms to fill out entering your all kinds of financial information, making sure it matches the thing on the card, just all this kind of nonsense, not to mention the annoyances of ordering internationally. All that is pretty much erased with cryptocurrency because it's completely decentralized and it's completely permissionless. So anyone can use it anytime, any place. And in particular, of course, I work for Dash, which is, in my view, the best cryptocurrency out there for payments. And what happened was in late 2016, I was living all off of Bitcoin, and then the fees started to become very expensive, and confirmation times ended up going way up. And it became very difficult for me to live that grand experiment of trying to live all off of cryptocurrency just to see if it could work, to see if you could be your own bank. And so I had to abandon that experiment, and rather than just come crawling back to my bank saying, hey, I think I need you guys after all, I decided to give it one last shot. And the only thing I could do that with was Dash. And now, I believe as of today, there's over 1,300 listed merchants all around the world, pretty heavily concentrated in Venezuela in particular, because that's a country undergoing a currency crisis, and they definitely need some kind of an alternative. And it's not like they can just start using the U.S. dollar or some other fiat currency that's a little bit more reliable at this time. And so it really goes to show that when the people who are having problems with banking services, when those kinds of people are looking for an alternative, what they ended up using tends to be something that actually is worth something.
2 minutes.
Great. We still got Danny there?
Not at the moment. He's coming right back.
Okay, no problem. Well, I'll tell you what. Just for those tuning in, maybe on your way home from work right now, a little bit about our show, and we just want to throw out there a little bit about what is this cryptocurrency thing. I know that one of the purposes for our show here is to get outside of the podcast world. Although we do broadcast on a couple different podcast networks, we really wanted to get onto a new audience, a new platform, terrestrial radio here, and reach some of the people that aren't necessarily seeking out Bitcoin related podcasts. So for you guys, I'm just going to kind of go over a basic kind of definition of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Maybe you've heard of it before, maybe you're just mildly curious. Basically, Bitcoin cryptocurrencies are, a cryptographically secure way of transferring value over the internet. So, like Joel's saying here, being able to live on it. I mean, that's powerful stuff. Bitcoin has the potential to disrupt the financial system, in a way that the internet disrupted the published industry. At one point, you couldn't, before blogs, you couldn't just get your message out there. Now, and any Joe Schmo can write a blog and distribute information that may be unique information, may be valuable information
30 seconds.
Without needing a publisher. So think of Bitcoin in that way, and cryptocurrencies as the ability to transact financially and get involved in a global financial system without asking permission from the bank or the government. And so you can imagine the power behind that, and the ability to give freedom to the individuals out there. We'll be right back. And we are back. I think we got Danny back on the line. Danny, do we have you?
Yes, I am. I've
Okay,
actually been introing you. I thought we were live, but I guess we're live now. I see the little red light there. Anyway, like I said,
I think you jinxed it earlier. You said earlier how great your internet was working it for you. You might have jinxed it.
Yeah. It's working pretty good. But anyway, am I coming in all right for you or no?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anyway, like I said, we're here. We're talking with Doug Hodges, who is in Phoenix, and he is the head of Phoenix Crypto, and he's got all the local information, everything that you need to know about crypto, so that you can get involved. Doug, tell me about when's the next class that someone can actually formally learn?
We do the first Wednesday of every month. Right now, the first Wednesday of next month is July 4th. So right now, we're kind of in limbo. We're looking for a different date. That's not set yet, but we'll definitely let you know as soon as it is.
Yeah, we may do a pre-recorded show or something for that.
Okay.
I think the producers had sent us some info on that. But anyway, so give us some more terminology. What are things that beginners need to know? And Joel, your mic is on as well, so you can definitely weigh in. And Joel, what do you think? What's the best way for someone to find out about how to get set up with a wallet, or what exchange to go to? Just what are some of the pitfalls that they need to worry about?
Yeah, so the
the strangest thing about cryptocurrency is you're dealing with something that's both money and a payment system. And what we do most of the time in like the first world, we have a central bank that issues a currency, and then we have some kind of a payment system like a bank or like a PayPal or Venmo or something like that. We have two different groups we can kind of go to figure stuff out. And the thing with cryptocurrency is being a completely decentralized thing. Usually there's no one to go to. There's no one to just say, hey, how do I set this wallet? There's no official representative because it's a completely decentralized. There is no official.
I can't go to like 1-800-BITCOIN or Bitcoin. I guess you could go to Bitcoin.com,
Yes.
but I wouldn't recommend it.
But that's a private company besides. And the thing with cryptocurrency is you kind of have to learn, for the most part, to go to the greater community for help. And so, for example, one thing I found is very useful for understanding how cryptocurrency works, like the kind of like what's under the hood, what is this, what gives it value, is if you go to YouTube and look up Dash School. And that goes into some stuff specifically about the cryptocurrency Dash, but also goes into just what is a blockchain, how does this whole thing kind of work. And I have noticed there have been a few cryptocurrencies that have started to develop support channels you can kind of go to learn more about. And so, for example, discover-.com has a live support chat, just like you'd have for, say, a payment company or something like that, where you can just say, hey, how does this work? Hey, how do I get involved? And over time, these kinds of things are starting to be built out a whole lot more. We're still really new to the game, but as the whole cryptocurrency universe develops more, I think we'll see a whole lot more videos, guides, things like that, representatives. Some people have even started opening offices, or sometimes they call them embassies, in certain areas that actually have a physical location. Someone can just walk in and say, hey, I can't get this thing to send, or how do I get a wallet, or how do I send it? Where can I spend it? And actually have like a real person to talk to.
Facebook groups too, but that's kind of iffy. I would say meetups. Go to meetup.com and find the local places in your area, and even leave messages and stuff on the meetup page, and generally someone will get back with you. But that's the best way to learn, is just go to these meetups, meet the people, and most users of cryptocurrency will actually help you set up a wallet and probably give you a little or sell you a little. And even Doug, definitely, he's got ATMs all over the place, and he'll help you out in person if you need. Doug, go ahead, describe some of the things that you do as far as like how you walk people through getting set up with a wallet when it's a new person that knows nothing about it.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know about that Dash line, Joel. So I think that's a great resource too. That's great to see the community kind of building solutions and bridging the gap. We do similar thing at Phoenix Crypto. We will meet with you face to face. We'll do consulting appointments, but even just informal. Like I said, if you meet me somewhere, Classic Crust, wherever, we'll sit down and we'll walk you through all these things. My biggest recommendation is to just try it. I think what we tend to do naturally is, this being a new technology, we're hearing words and terminology we haven't heard before, is we are confused, and we're maybe YouTubing and looking for answers on how this whole thing works. But I would really recommend to actually get with someone like myself, or the meetups or whatever, and actually just download a wallet and send a transfer. And I'm always amazed at how often I hear that aha moment when we do a transfer. I'll send you a couple bucks if you want to meet up and just test it out. I can send it to you. You can send it back however you want. I'm always amazed at how many people are just, they have that aha moment, and they're like, that's it. We're done. It's kind of like sending an email. And so I think it gets you over that hump. Now, it's great to do your research and understand the technology, if that's something you're interested in. But, for many people, we don't all need to know exactly what's under the hood, how it's working. The fact that Bitcoin can serve many use cases or become a tool for you, you're going to have that aha moment yourself one day, where you're going to want to buy a product, and you're going to find out the seller only accepts cryptocurrency. And eventually, every place in the world, for the most part, is going to accept cryptocurrency. Now, how far off that is, is anyone's guess. But that's my recommendation: is just try it. And I think that light bulb will go off, and you'll kind of get over the fear and the hump of that, not knowing, not understanding the technology.
Especially with they're in Phoenix with such a great resource like Classic Crust Pizza, where you can actually come in and spend it. That's another great place to do that, is because you actually get to see he has a point of sale right there at the register. The QR code pops up. There's the price. You scan it. You hit send, and you're paid. And he's got a lot of different options. He's using the Airbits wallet, and he takes many other forms of payment, even one that's called Lightning, which is iffy. I don't know. It's still under development, but a lot of people like this idea. And if that's something that you're into, well, then you can definitely come by and check out how the Lightning Network works. Because the guy is a developer that has Classic Crust Pizza.
That owns a pizza shop.
He can tell you exactly how he developed his own app.
Lightning Pizza Beer.
Yeah, Lightning Pizza Beer. So that's some pretty brilliant stuff there. What you got anything on that, Joel?
Yeah, so my personal story with getting involved with cryptocurrency was very similar in that I paid for a pizza, and a friend of mine who's splitting with me said, hey, why don't I give you Bitcoin for my bit? And I kind of heard of it, but I never really used it. And so we just downloaded a wallet and got some right there. And then since then, I moved to New Hampshire, which has a lot of places where you can spend cryptocurrency. And I just started trying to use it and then trying to take it and send and receive. And there was that aha moment. It was when a bunch of us went out to eat, and rather than split the check and all have separate tabs on the card, one person just paid and everyone else just sent him Bitcoin. And it's as easy as handing someone some cash, except easier because you don't have to make change. And that sort of moment was just like, oh, I don't necessarily see all the applications yet, but I just see that this is something that anyone can just kind of get an app and just send to anyone, anywhere around the world. And like, I have paid or been paid by people from all kinds of different countries. No friction, nothing like that. Just, hey, can I pay you? What's your address? And then just send it. I bought someone's plane ticket who was flying to Canada, and we just got to the checkout screen, and I just said, hey, send me the address and what the amount, and I just paid for him. And it just, the small amount of friction in that is really what kind of got me. But yeah, that's really the best way to understand is to do. And the good thing about that is you don't have to be like, well, let's see if the account is approved. Well, there might be a bunch of fees. They might not let me do this stuff. You can just download an app, and then you can just get some, and you just start using, and then before you know it, you're kind of a little bit of an expert.
Well, when you bought those plane tickets, you used cheapair.com, which is the place that accepts multiple cryptocurrencies to do this, but also explain how your identity is safer by shopping on these online websites using this technology rather than using your credit card.
Yeah, so
1 minute.
Here, Overstock.com takes cryptocurrency payments as well as credit card payments. Recently, they say that they'd much rather take cryptocurrency because they have a 40-man anti-fraud team for credit cards. So they have to hire 40 people just to deal with all the things that can go wrong, all the identity that can be stolen and stuff. Cryptocurrency is secure. It's sent. It's guaranteed once it's sent, and it's not attached to your identity in any direct way. It's like digital cash. You just send it, and it works.
30 seconds.
Wow. So you mean it's digital cash? So that's kind of the name of the show. We talk about digital cash all the time, and that's what we. Digital cash evolution here on KFNX in Phoenix. Looks like we do have a caller on the line. And the digital cash evolution is a fork of the crypto show. And we'll get to some of those terminologies like forks later. But it looks like we have Michael from Tempe. So let's go ahead and just start out. Talk to Mike. Mike, are you there?
I am here. Hi, guys.
Yeah, we're doing great. What kind of questions do you have about cryptocurrencies?
So I guess what I'm wondering is, like, how does somebody who doesn't know anything about this stuff actually buy some Bitcoin? Like, how do they start? Because, like, I can't go into a bank, so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about, like, where do banks stand when it comes to cryptocurrency? Like, why can't you just go into a bank and get some crypto, get some Bitcoin? What's their deal? Is I mean, I
Well,
understand that it's not
I think
regulated, but
the banks realize that this is there to put them out of business. This is basically Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are be your own bank, and you can easily open up a wallet. I recommend the Edge wallet. But as far as how can one get involved, go to Phoenix Crypto. If you're there in Phoenix, definitely go to Phoenix Crypto. You can find out where the locations are for his ATMs, and probably better if you're a beginner, rather than going to the ATM, is just to reach out straight to Doug and let him help you walk you through it. Go to Classic Crust Pizza. The owner there, Alex, will definitely help you, walk you through it and maybe sell you some and show you how it works. I mean, to actually walk into his store, buy pizza, buy beer, and see it in action, you really begin to understand.
And to kind of answer your question about, often, the first timer is actually just the very basic question of what does that look like? What does a transaction look like? So, when I meet with people in person, we'll sit down, we'll calculate the current exchange rate of Bitcoin to dollar, and whatever amount they're looking to purchase, $100, $500, whatever it is, we'll calculate the exchange rate, trade the cash. We'll have you download a wallet on your phone. I'll already have a wallet on my phone that's got some Bitcoin in it. I will simply scan a little QR code that your wallet will display for me. That will give me your address. I'll punch in the amount of Bitcoin to hit send. And within a second or two, your phone's going to ding and you're going to see, payment received. And that's the aha moment I talk about. People often say, wow, I mean, that was it? We're done? So
yeah, especially, think about when you walked in to open a bank account, all of the garbage that you had to go through. This thing doesn't ask your name. It doesn't care what color you are, how much money you have or what you drive, any of that. It's like, here's the app, open it up, create a password. That's it. It doesn't care who you are.
Yep.
Do you foresee the banking community or the financial community trying to do something to stop cryptocurrencies from existing?
I think that they're really looking to integrate it. Recently I went to a bankers convention in San Diego, and they were okay with using the word blockchain. That didn't scare them very much because I went basically I went to every one of the vendors at this conference and tried to ask them questions about Bitcoin, and that scared them. They didn't want to talk about Bitcoin. That was a dirty word. But blockchain was somewhat okay. So they want to build their own blockchains and create their own currencies to try to compete with it. But then again, you're right back to fiat currency again, where they can print as much as they want. The whole point of Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies is that they're finite. You know how much there can only be this many, and so you don't have to worry so much about inflation and your money being devalued just because of that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Cause I just know how banks can be. If they feel threatened, they're going to do everything they can to try to stop their competition.
And that's the beauty of Bitcoin being decentralized. It means that there's really nothing that they can do to stop something like this. There's no warehouse full of Bitcoins that they can seize or bomb. This is permissionless, meaning you don't need permission from them. So, I'm looking to get outside of the bank.
And even with the other cryptocurrencies outside of Bitcoin, like Dash has a CEO, but if you were to take him out, I don't think the place, Dash is not going to go down just because its core team went somewhere. I mean, essentially, they're just hired by the network itself. The network is a digital autonomous organization, which is I don't know. Give us a short explanation of how these DAOs work and how they're resilient against some sort of an attack.
Yeah. So with an organization like this, and don't expect this to sound like anything you're familiar with, because this is a whole new way of doing things. Anyone can participate in this group. Anyone can run a node. Anyone can run a mining machine, and then anyone can use that and start participating in this system. Anyone can be a developer and get paid for that, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the beauty of it, is it's like an idea. You can't really crush an idea. You can get rid of some of the big people who are pushing it or promoting it. But then, as long as anyone believes in that idea, it can just spread to the next person, and it's like almost like a living entity. You just can't really crush out just by removing some structures or some people from it. And so that's what the real beauty of this thing is. Almost like a natural resource. You can't imagine trying to like ban gold. Oh, we're just going to shut down gold. Well, you can shut down some gold mines. You can seize some gold if you manage to get to it, but you can't eliminate a natural resource. And this is sort of like a digital natural resource now. And so that's what really makes this kind of separates this from the rest.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions about it? Or?
I had heard a few months back that in Arizona that the legislation was voting on whether or not they'll give us the ability to pay for like our tax bills using Bitcoin.
That went through. You can actually pay your taxes now in Arizona with Bitcoin. And another thing, Phoenix is a hotbed for cryptocurrency. There are two of the most innovative cryptocurrencies are actually based in Phoenix. One being Dash, of course, and then Nexus, which is a very interesting project. And there's some exchanges. And Doug, list off some of the other projects that are going on there in Phoenix.
Oh man, it's really interesting to go to the meetups and talk to some of the guys that are not even, haven't necessarily made public, any kind of public statements about the projects they're working on. They're just all, they're all in their computer, in their rooms and their computers, just coding away, building some amazing things, projects. To the guys we had on last week from Tunnel, which is bringing better privacy to Bitcoin. So some of the other currencies have targeted that use case of being more private, being more anonymous. Bitcoin, is not very anonymous, despite what you may have heard. And so people are trying to create additional layers to Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies that add on that better privacy and things like that. But there's a lot of really exciting projects.
And our goal here is basically to reach out to the listeners. I'm imagining that the listeners of this network are probably a little bit older and they're really not into the YouTube thing, and this might be kind of a scary thing. So we want older, your grandma, grandpa, whatever. Don't be afraid of this stuff. Come out and learn with us. I know at the last class we had an older woman there. She was Yvonne came out. That was pretty interesting. What we should say, like 70-something years old, and she had the guts to come out and learn about this new technology and not get left behind. So that's what we really want to see, is older people who just don't get it and they want to get it, to come out here and find out what this is and how you can. It's like the stock market or whatever. You kind of got to be pretty technical about that. Well, this is a way to get involved in things like that without having to ask permission or be licensed or jump through a bunch of hoops. But you don't want to just jump right in there and start buying a bunch of garbage. So definitely come to the meetups and find out what is good and what's not. Most people will definitely steer you in the right direction.
Right now, the retiree age demographic is, the stock market's been performing well for a decade. And so a lot of them feel like we're a little bit on pins and needles, and a recession is inevitable eventually. Now, when's it going to be? So a lot of them are looking for places to diversify. Now, it's by no means any financial endorsement that cryptocurrencies are going to continue to do well. Financially, I prefer to focus more on the tech than the price, but people are certainly interested in taking control of their own wealth by putting the power back in their own hands to manage their own wealth without having them sitting on the stock market or somewhere where they're not sure what's going to happen with their money and their wealth and their savings and their inheritance for their children in a lot of cases.
And welcome back to the Digital Cash Solution here on KFNX in Phoenix. Go ahead and give us a call if you have any questions about cryptocurrencies, blockchains, any of these things, how to get involved. The number is 602-277-KFNX. Let's call and give us some questions. Also, come on out tonight to Classic Crust Pizza. And what's the location again there, Doug? Because we want to set them up with a wallet. Download the Edge wallet and come on out to Classic Crust Pizza, and we'll get you some free Dash, and learn how it works.
Yeah, that's at Cave Creek and Cactus Road in North Phoenix.
Awesome. All right. And, let's talk about tech a little bit, like the buggy whip, the combustion engine, those things. Like, they put the buggy whip driver out of business by building cars. And this is what, this type of tech is trying to put the banks out of business. I mean, if you've heard our ad that's going, do you love your banker? Do you love the Federal Reserve? Like,
they're my besties.
Screw those guys. Yeah, they're our besties. Give us some examples there, Joel, of the combustion engine as it relates to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, so we're always moving forward with technology. And I mean, I'm one of those old school people who can't let go of the manual transmission. I still drive stick. I'm proud of it, and I don't want to make the transition to manual. And now we got these electric cars like Teslas and stuff, which seem to obsolete the manual transmission. And at some point, there's not going to be any, other than just as a hobby, there's not going to be any good old stick shift left for me. But that's fine. Because
there is a good thing about stick shift. I think the insurance is cheaper because no one under 30 can drive it, and that's usually who steals cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's an anti-theft device, and in fact, I have to get a European friend to drive me to the airport.
Right. I don't have a club. I don't need the club. I have a standard.
Yeah, exactly. It's so one thing that people really don't understand about cryptocurrency. They think it's this new weird thing, kind of, but the term that a lot of people use is fintech or financial technology. And we've had financial technology evolve so much over the years, the decades, the centuries. I mean, we go from barter, just trading, I give you 3 chickens, you give me, a cow, and then I owe you a whole bunch of extra chickens or whatever. You go that to having precious metals that you can trade, and then you have coins you can trade, and you have paper certificates that are like gold and silver certificates is what paper money used to be, and now it's, not quite backed by that anymore. But then you start to have stuff like checks where you can just write, I'm giving them this much money, and you put a piece of paper, and then you send it, and then the bank does it. And then you get to points where you can use your smartphone and take a picture of the check, and then that just deposits it. And you have a little app where you can check your bank balance and stuff like that. And then you have these Venmo and PayPal kind of things where you can just sort of send and receive money. It's not really a bank, but it kind of is. And there's stuff like that. And then this is just the next step of that.
And if you're a gold and silver bug, there are actually cryptocurrencies out there that are pegged to gold and silver. So the gold and silver would be held in a vault either in Switzerland. One company that's actually integrating with Dash is called Vaulturo, and they hold their money or their gold and silver in a vault in Switzerland. And this digital currency that you get from them, each unit would be tied to a certain unit of gold or silver. Well, there's another company that's in the U.S. called Herc or Anthem Gold. And you can do the same thing with that, and your gold would be stored at various different gold depositories around the U.S. But that would be a way that you could actually send gold value via email.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're going to is just like with the internet, and now you have apps and stuff that, for example, you could have something like Google Maps that basically gives you a direction to wherever you're going. And then there's something called Waze, which some of you driving right now might even use, which has a certain peer-to-peer element to it, meaning there's alerts on the road that Waze itself didn't put theirs and the company didn't put there. Other users did. And then sometimes the maps are done by users themselves. It's just a very collaborative kind of way to do things. And cryptocurrencies are that kind of peer-to-peer app style way of running complex financial institutions that aren't actually an institution. So it's just sort of the next, what apps and Uber and things like that have done for other industries. You could say that cryptocurrency is the Bitcoin is the Uber of money. I'm sure I've heard that a whole lot of times. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Go ahead, Doug.
Most people wouldn't be able to really intelligently describe to you how our fiat money works.
Absolutely.
And so, while it's certainly good due diligence to do your research on a new technology and, find out everything you can, However, we put our trust in the U.S. dollar simply because it's history. We're born into it. We don't know anything. Most of us, don't know any other currencies. And we know that everywhere we go, it's going to be accepted. It's this confidence factor. What's
it backed by?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who just wants to get into the weeds of things, wants to know like coin minting, all this kind of stuff, there's plenty of resources for that for the current financial system as well as cryptocurrencies for the future. But if you just say, look, I don't understand this stuff, I just know it's the future and I don't need to understand it, I just want to start using it.
Yes.
And then eventually I'm just going to forget that I don't understand it. You just download a wallet and you either go to an ATM or use some service like Uphold is a good one to just buy some more, and then you just learn how to go around and spend it, and then you just start using it. It's like, oh yeah, it's that thing everyone uses. And they're like, well, what's it backed by? And then eventually these kids, right, the young people, the younger generations are going to be using this, and then they'll be looking at us weird when they say, well, what's it backed by? How does it work? Who do I call it? Like, they're like, God, Dad, you're so lame. It doesn't work that way. It just works. Like, who knows? These questions
a great example. So a great example of this is maybe it's not taking off just yet in certain areas, but in other areas it has. Like, give us the example of Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah, so I live in a small town in New Hampshire, about 20,000 or so people, called Portsmouth, and it has about 27 cryptocurrency accepting businesses in town. More coming every day. I think we're at 28 actually, and that's more than one per 1,000 people. And so there's a regular contingent of business people. In fact, I went to a French crepe shop to get coffee and a crepe for lunch, and I was going to pay with Dash. And so, and they say, okay, I want to pay with Dash. Okay. And then they just put up the QR code, I scan, send, it works just great. And then the person behind me is like, oh, can I use Apple Pay? And you're like, oh, I don't know how. I got to ask the manager. I don't know how to do that. And it's like, this used to be
completely the opposite.
Yes, but also this used to be credit cards and stuff. They're like, yeah, can I, someone goes, hey, I'm going to pay with check. I'm going to pay with cash. Someone's like, can I do a card? They're like, oh, I don't know how to work the card terminal. And growing up, I used to actually work at a Taekwondo school in Phoenix. And sometimes I'd run the credit card machine there. And that always terrified me because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to spool the receipt paper. I didn't know how to press the right buttons and how's it going to go through. What happens if there's an error? What do I do? Just intimidating, but that's kind of old and standard tech now. And pretty soon, just like this is going to be the exact same kind of thing. And it in some areas of the world, just like Portsmouth, New Hampshire, it's really starting to become much more standard. And not to say anything about Venezuela, where cryptocurrencies were really taken off because current financial systems are not really serving the people all that well at this moment.
Not to mention the government did a free advertising campaign.
2 minutes, sorry.
Unbeknownst to them.
Yes, exactly. The government introduced the Petro, which is a state-backed cryptocurrency, or also known as a little bit of a oxymoron / what's the point. However, running Petro advertisements all over the place has really brought a lot of people like, oh, this is something that the government's behind. This is something that's kind of safe to use. It's not that weird. And then they hear about some other cryptocurrency and they're like, oh yeah, I kind of know what that is. Let me try to use it. Let's see how it works. And largely it works. There's over 160 cryptocurrency accepting businesses in Caracas alone, and growing by hundreds of, sometimes even hundreds a week. It's been pretty breakneck these days.
Yeah, and the importance for them is explain the money. The bolivar it devalues itself like on the hour.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, that's of course a big pain in the butt to try to price your goods and services because your metric is always changing. But it's even worse to just
1 minute.
What happens? You work really hard all week, all month, all year, and then all of a sudden that stuff isn't worth what you put in. All of a sudden you say, oh, I got to work 40 hours a week to feed my family. And all of a sudden you can't feed your family at the end of the week. Oh, you got to work an extra 40 hours. It's like now I'm working 80-hour weeks. I didn't think I had to.
Yeah.
And your money's not worth anything. And that's
we're coming to a close here, guys, and I just want to throw before we go out. In addition to come on down to Classic Crust Pizza, we're also looking for Bitcoin ATM hosts. So visit our site at phoenixcrypto.com/host if you own a business and you'd like to host one of our Bitcoin ATMs.